Hello, guys. Well, I, like most America, has been obsessed with the Menendez brothers. I was in high school when I first heard about the Menendez brother case, and I was watching some of the documentaries. Now, flash forward to 2017, and I've been watching a lot of the documentaries now, and the true crime thing I watched on Monday. And I gotta say, I forgot a lot about it. I remember them. I've done research. I've thought about them. Sorry, ignore my kid. I've thought about the Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric. I wasn't one of those girls that was obsessed and wanted to marry. I wasn't that weird. Sorry. Not that that's weird. Whatever floats people's boat. But I'm not someone who's like, oh, I want to marry someone who's been in prison. But I do say, everyone knows they did it, but I do feel like they are victims. The thing is, I feel like Lyle and Eric Menendez were definitely victims. I believe that their parents molested them. Even their mom. And that their mom knew what was going on. And she did nothing. And people say, well, what about Kitty? What did they have to do with Kitty? The documentary I just watched on YouTube here. And was like, what about Kitty? It's like, well, they wanted her dead, I believe, because they knew that she would have just listened to the father. She did that all along. And that's what abuse is. I've studied psychology. I was a psychology major and also a theater major, and that's another story. But in theater, it's all about people too. And so that's why I went in and studied life coaching and psychology. And I know that I've worked with abused women and children. And I see this in kids. They're scared of the parents. They're scared of the abusers. They're scared of the moms or whichever parent didn't do the abuse but let it happen. They blame that other parent just as bad as the abuser. They're like, why? That's all they can say. And so I know with all my heart that this is what happened with Lyle and Eric. Here I am 43, almost 44. Here they are 4 years older than me. And I remember when I was in high school watching the trial, and just like the documentary said, I forgot this part, that it was on SNL, and we would watch the trial after school and be like, oh my God. And then we'd watch SNL on Saturday nights, and there it was. It was the trial of the century. And these are people's lives at stake. And not forgot, but the thing is, the second trial wasn't televised. And then reading all about it recently, and I even read the book. There was a book called Blood Brothers, and I had all the pictures. I was obsessed with it. Most Americans were. But I knew, even watching it then at 16, 17, that's what happened. I could just see. And then the one brother admitted that he did it to his brother, just like the dad did. And that's where I came up with that. I thought I was just sort of analyzing, this is what happened. But I remember saying, that's exactly what happened. Because that's what happens. One gets abused and the other think it's okay. They didn't make that up. You could see the tears in their face and the scaredness to say it. And they were trained not to, that no one would believe. And 8 years old, I had a friend, no names, but I had a friend whose daughter told me that her dad took baths with her at 8 years old. Just like Lyle told his cousin, And I'm like, and my one regret to this day is I didn't say anything because I was raised by hippie parents. My dad took baths with me, and no, he didn't molest me. But that I'm a random. Of course he didn't, But I'm random. Most kids who had that happen did. But I was so naive and innocent. I was like, oh no. And that's exactly what the abusers want people to believe. No, no one's gonna believe you. And I did that to my friend's daughter, who is 23 now, almost. And I'm like, I regret that to this day. I wish I could tell her, no, it's not okay what your dad did to you. And so, listening to Lyle and Eric's story, I believe that is what happened. I can see it in the fear in their faces for expressing that story, which they are trained not to tell. It's so sad. So hard. But yeah. Was a skeptical. And now that the main and most important part is, and I want to write a letter to Lyle and Eric about it. And if anyone, that California has a new law that says if the abuse was not covered in the trials and it was thrown out, they can take action on it. They can get a new trial. Now, it's going to be hard to find someone who's going to take that. But they deserve that chance. And and I was telling my friend, a fair trial. Eric and Lyle Mendez deserve a fair trial. They got a mistrial the first time around. And sadly, if I was on that, I would have been like, no, this is not a mistrial. This is the facts, people. Not guilt. You can't say not guilty because they admitted to doing it. That's another story. But the thing is, it's self-defense. It is. And I got into it with a friend. I was like, it's not self-defense. But I'm like, it is self-defense. Because when you've been abused, it is self-defense. No matter when it happens, even if it's not happening that right now, you're always in fear. The only way, even if they're 18, and Eric was still having it happen when he was 17, 18 years old. And that seems shocking, but it's true. Boys have it happen too. And then also remember the gay factor. Gayness was not talked about. And there was something online that said, yeah, they threw it out because of the gay factor. They didn't want to believe two guys were having sex like that. And raped. That one guy could be raped, And now we believe that. As a society, we know. So it's a perfect timing to retrial this. They only have a certain amount of time. I wish I was a lawyer. I would do it. It has to happen. They deserve a chance for whatever happens. They deserve a chance for this to get out and retrial in a fair and equal way. Yeah. Justice for the Mendez brothers. They've been in prison way too long and not having another trial. There is another appeal. They say at the end of the documentary I watched on YouTube, they said that all appeals have been done. Well, I guess that was shot in I don't know when it was. I guess it was before the law passed. I just watched it now, and I want to believe it was shot in 2016. But you know what? It can't be the case. Because there are mere appeals, and they deserve this right to tell their story, especially since the judges did not listen. If they had listened and their story got out with what the cousin said, then the judge had no right to throw that out when that's what happened to them. You can't just decide to throw out fucking evidence. I'm pissed. Yeah, sorry. I've done too much work with abused women and children not to know what is real and what's not. And this is real. I feel the pain for those little kids, for the men they are now, and the story. Justice for Lyle and Eric. At least to get their story out. One last time. And I will be there. I'm writing them a letter. Peace.